Welcome to this week's Brittany's Bites. This week, we're going a little old school, back to a recipe from my childhood I remember having all the time if we were at a birthday party, a church gathering, bridal shower, baby shower, whatever. This was probably there, at least in the Midwest. I'm not sure how common it was in the South, so maybe we'll bring a little Southern twist to it. All right, we are making a crescent roll veggie pizza. So that's basically the crescent roll crust, and then you've got sort of the cream cheese, sour cream spice layer, and then the veggies on top, and you serve it cold, not hot. Yeah, you remember those? So we're gonna make one today. I haven't made one in years. I reached out to my mom and sister and said, hey, can I get that recipe? And they said, oh, I don't know if I have it handy anymore. So we're gonna bring it back today. And we get started very easily with just 2 cans of these refrigerated crescent rolls. Now, back in the day, you may remember that they all still came in crescent rolls where it was all divided up. These days, you can actually get what they call crescent roll dough sheets, so you don't have to spend as much time going through and pressing all the seams, right? So how convenient is that? I haven't made one with these before, so we're gonna try this together. And I have just sort of a normal baking sheet here that I have sprayed with cooking spray. And let's see, this will roll out nicely, hopefully. Yes, okay. So we're gonna roll it out on one side, and we'll still have to press it together. Get that one going. Got a little hole in it already. It did not come out of the pan very well. And I want to try to stretch it to the edges as much as possible. All right, we'll get the other one going here. And by the way, I have the oven behind me preheated to 375 degrees, so it'll be ready to go in. Okay. Got this one. It's already separating on me. I think this one wanted to be regular crescent rolls and became a sheet. Okay, here we go. Let me take a few minutes to get this together because I'm gonna have to do a lot of pressing and repairing of these crescent roll dough sheets, and then we'll pop it in the oven and move on to the next step. Okay, we've got it all pretty much pressed together. I hope that will be all right. We are going to pop it in the oven. I got to double check the time on this. Thankfully, I kept these for 10 to 13 minutes. And then we're gonna pop it out, let it cool as we're putting everything else together. So I'll do that and then come right back. The crescent roll crust is in the oven right now baking, so it's time to move on to our next step where we make the little layer of all the good stuff. The cream cheese, the sour cream, the ranch dressing mix, and just a little touch of Southern charm, so a little squirt or 2 of mayo, just to bring it all together. So I have one block, an 8-ounce block of cream cheese in here. It's not quite softened as much as I would like, so I'm gonna do the little trick of giving it a nice whip before I add in the other ingredients. So let me just do that for a moment and catch up here. Okay, it wasn't too bad there. Now to that, we're gonna add a cup of sour cream, and it's so nice, drip some of that out. So nice to be able to buy one of these if you can, because it's already measured out for you. It's an 8-ounce little tiny container of sour cream. So nice to be able to do that. All right, so I'm just gonna scoop it into here. And I think I'm gonna try to bring this together a little bit before I add in the other ingredients. Okay, good there. And I'm just gonna go ahead at this point and give a nice little squirt of our Southern mayo. There we go. Whoop. All right, I'm gonna bring this all together before we add our seasoning. Everything is nicely combined now, so I'm going to add in that, let's see, I'll set that right there. This packet of ranch dressing we all know and love. You make it for so many recipes, right? So I'm just gonna pour it right into here. Ooh, if I can get it all open. There we go. And then basically all we need to do is make this combine now. And this will be the little layer we'll spread on top of the crescent rolls when we get it out. Okay, we've got everything combined, so we can move on to the next step. We're still waiting for the crescent roll to come out of the oven. We do need to let it cool a little bit once it comes out, so I might speed things up and put it in the fridge when it comes out of the oven, but a few minutes there. So I'm gonna get this off to the side, and then we're gonna talk about the veggies that we're gonna put on top. Okay, I wanted to show you how nicely this turned out. Everything came together nice and golden brown. Still needs to cool a lot before we put it all together, so I'm gonna pop it in the fridge actually. But then after that, we're gonna talk about some veggies. I'm gonna do this as well off camera because it's gonna be a little tedious. So you can put whatever veggies on here that you would like. I usually go with what my mom did, and that was definitely having broccoli, carrots, and cauliflower. I'm gonna add to that a little red onion, red pepper, and then Of course, we're gonna have cheese on top as well. So what I'm gonna do is grate some carrots, and then that's why I got this bag. I saw this in the store, it was nice because it comes with the cauliflower, the carrots, and the broccoli. Now, grating the baby carrots is gonna be annoying. Obviously, we'd normally wanna do that with a full carrot, but I'm gonna make it work. And then I'm gonna chop it up very, very, very finely because it's gonna be in sort of little bite-sized pieces. So you don't want a big chunk of, broccoli or cauliflower, right? So I'm gonna make sure everything is diced really finely. That's gonna take a little while, but then by that time, hopefully this will be cooled and we can put it all together. So let's come back in just a bit and make it all happen. Everything is cool, the spread is ready to go, the veggies are all chopped very nicely and very finely. So let's put it all together. Again, we've got our crescent dough crust, nice and cool now, so we're gonna spread this mixture that we made earlier right on top. And a reminder that it was just the cream cheese, the 1 block of cream cheese, a cup or 8 ounces of sour cream, a little bit of mayo, and then that ranch seasoning packet. And yes, it smells like ranch, so I hope the folks you're serving this to really like ranch, but who doesn't, right? Okay, got most of it out of here. I'm just gonna take a minute and try to spread it very nicely and evenly over this, and then we will start putting those veggies on top. We've got our spread all ready to go, so let's start with the toppings. Again, I shredded those carrots. I kind of always like putting those on first. I already spilled some. I'm just gonna sprinkle those, get a nice little layer. The other thing that I love about this, and it's so colorful by the time you get everything on. And again, right, they say you eat with your eyes first, so it looks so appetizing. And it's great to feed a crowd because you just cut it up. Serve it to as many people as they want. All right. This is looking like a Go Vols dessert or a treat right now, right? Okay, got some carrots on there. Next, I think I'll go with the broccoli. And you can see I've got very small pieces here. I'm just gonna sprinkle over. Want a little bit of that everywhere. All right. Probably could have used a little bit more broccoli now that I'm looking at it, but there we are. Okay, then I have some cauliflower. Sprinkle that all over. There weren't that many cauliflower pieces in that bag I had. A little disappointed in that, but using what I can. Then I'm gonna go on with some red peppers. And I have these, again, diced very, very small. Okay. And then last thing here, I'm gonna be very careful with these because I know not everyone loves a raw onion, but I diced very, very finely some red onion just because I think it gives it some nice flavor. So I'm gonna sprinkle some of those all over the top. And I think what I'm gonna do, just because now that I'm looking at it, it's hard to tell how it's gonna turn out when you're chopping, but I need some more broccoli. So I'm gonna take a moment and a pause, and I'm gonna chop up some more broccoli, and then we'll come back and finish it off. I have more broccoli. I think it looks fantastic now, kind of evenly spread out. Just a couple more things you don't have to add. I'm just gonna add a couple more spices just to jazz things up a little bit. Just a 1/4 teaspoon each of some dill weed. Put that on top. Then also I have some chives. Let's see if I can get this open. This one's always so hard to open. There we go. Stick this in here. Then just a few chives on top. And then we have to add maybe the best part, right? More cheese. So I just have plain shredded cheddar cheese here, and I'm just going to, I think it'll be about a cup, but I'm just gonna sprinkle on about as much as I see fit. This is one of those measure with love, right? All right. So this is such a little easy dish to come together to serve a crowd. Make it in one pan. It does require a little time if you're gonna chop up all the veggies, but hey, perhaps you can just get them pre-chopped. Then all good to go. I think that's about enough cheese. One more little sprinkle for good measure. There we go. We have our crescent roll, veggie pizza, all done, ready to be served. I hope you give it a try. If you would like to see the full written out recipe, you can go online to WBIR.com.